bookworms, and welcome to the Book Up. I'm your host, Verdell Walker, and I'm so excited you're here. Each week, I dive into my latest reads and share my honest, unvarnished opinions, all in 15 minutes or less. So sit back, get cozy, and let me give you the Book Up. Today's book is Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. It's a dark academia fantasy and is published by Random House. The print edition is 448 pages and it's also available as an ebook and an audiobook. Here's the summary. For 20 years, Shiona has devoted every waking moment to the study of magic, fueled by a mad desire to achieve the impossible. To be the first woman ever admitted to the high magistracy at the University of Magics and Industry. When Shiona finally passes the qualifying exam and becomes a high mage, she finds her challenges have just begun. Her new colleagues are determined to make her feel unwelcome, and instead of a qualified lab assistant, they give her a janitor. What neither Shiona nor her peers realize is that her taciturn assistant was not always a janitor. 10 years ago, he was a nomadic hunter who lost his family on their perilous journey from the wild plains to the city. But now he sees the opportunity to understand the forces that decimated his tribe, drove him from his homeland, and keep the privileged in power. At first, mage and outsider have a fractious relationship, but working together, they uncover an ancient secret that could change the course of magic forever, if it doesn't get them killed first. So, within the first chapter of Blood Over Brighthaven, I was hooked. I knew this was going to be one of my top reads of 2024. Here are a few things that I really loved about this book. First, a smart, talented, driven female lead. Shiona is all of those things, even if she's very dumb and naive at times. I just love the centering of a brilliant woman who is devoted to her work. And she is not ashamed of that devotion. She is not ashamed of her ambition. Shiona knows she is just as good as the men around her, if not better. But Shiona also isn't perfect. She's arrogant, judgmental, self-centered, all of the things. But her journey and her character arc, her growth throughout the novel was just so well done and such a pleasure to read. So love that smart, talented female lead. The second thing that I really enjoyed was the world building. This is a fantasy novel, but the world that Wang created felt so similar to our own. First, there's the misogyny, being underestimated because you're a woman and, or you can come from a lower income, working class background. Those are two things that I'm pretty familiar with myself. So that felt so true to life. There's a lot of racial and ethnic prejudice in this book. The janitor, whose name is Tommel, belongs to the Quinn, who are a group of second-class immigrants to Tyron, which is the main city of the book. Tyron views the Quinn as the lowest of the low, and that city only begrudgingly allows them into the city if they can make this perilous crossing across the barren, frozen wasteland of the Quinn homeland. And even then, if the Quinn make it through that, they have to perform hard, dangerous labor in order to earn their keep and stay in the city. Even the kids have to do that. It's pretty bleak. Also the technology. Spells power everything in this world. You can think of the spells in Tyrion as coding or a very advanced Excel formula. A mage like Shiona would draft their spell on this typewriter-like device, and when they hit enter, the spell activates. Honestly, it was a bit hard to follow at times, which is my only ding on the story, but you can definitely see Wang being influenced by the development of coding and algorithms in this. And so everything from the lights to the trains to making a cup of tea is powered by this magic. What's hidden, however, is the true cost of that magic. And that cost, Shiona discovers through her experiments with Tamil. It just made my jaw drop. I literally had to put the book down for a bit to process it when it was revealed, when the secret of the source of that magic was revealed. It really made me think about how tech undergirds our world, and it especially made me think a lot about AI. AI is like magic, but we're still grappling with the cost of AI to humanity, to human creativity, and to the environment. So the world building in this is just spectacular. The second thing I really loved is Tamil. He is an excellent foil to Shiona. So despite being a janitor and a Quinn, Tamil has a very keen intellect, and he is very quick on the uptake. I dare say he is just as smart as Shiona. He constantly challenges her views, and he is very much her intellectual equal. And just like Shiona is prejudiced, he is prejudiced towards Shiona and the rest of the mages. But let's be clear, he has a very good reason for this, given how Tyrion treats the Quinn. I was really reminded about what my elders went through as African Americans in the Jim Crow era. Very similar here. But as they work together, Shiona and Tamil constantly challenge each other's worldviews, their spiritual beliefs, and those long-held prejudices. And those interactions between them humanize the other throughout the story. Shiona and Tamil reveal more of themselves to each other, and those passionate intellectual sparring matches that they have slowly turn into mutual admiration and respect, and eventually love. It was just a masterfully written relationship. As a writer myself, I think this is what great characters are supposed to do. They push and pull against each other and elicit change. This was just chef's kiss for me. I do want to say that while there are romantic undertones between Shiona and Tamil, let's be clear, this is not a romance. Do not look for a romantasy here with a happily ever after. In fact, the climax of this book is tragic, and it just put my heart through the ringer. But it ends with a glimmer of hope that was very, very satisfying. And I think if you like books that make you think and reflect about our world and social issues, and particularly if you liked RF Kuang's Babel, you should pick this up. I don't think Wang's treatment of these issues was heavy-handed, but it is a heavy read at times. My final rating for Blood Over Brighthaven is 4.5 out of 5 stars. While I loved this book to pieces, I took off half a star for the somewhat confusing magic system. But even with that, I highly recommend that you add this book to your TBR pile. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if you want to read today's book, I've included shoppable links in the episode description. I'll earn a commission if you make a purchase. Thanks for supporting the show that way. I'd also love to hear from you. Leave me a rating or a review, and if you have book recommendations, drop them in the comments on my latest post over on Instagram at The Book Up Pod. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next time on The Book Up.